Urgent Atlanta Falcons fans. Do not miss this. What just happened? You won't believe this one. But before we reveal the big news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because here, we bring you daily videos with the latest Atlanta Falcons updates. And to not miss anything, activate the notifications. Hey, Falcons fans, today we have some explosive news that's been making waves across the NFL landscape, especially among those who have been closely following the saga of Kirk Cousins and his possible move away from the Atlanta Falcons. Now, if you've been paying attention to the recent developments, you already know that the 2024 season was somewhat of a roller coaster for Cousins, and for the Falcons as well. But what's really catching everyone's attention right now is the way things have unfolded in the offseason, setting the stage for what could be a very interesting 2025 season for Atlanta. So, let's dive deep into this story, unravel what happened, and look at what it means for the Falcons, Cousins, and the NFL in general. To set the stage, we need to go back a little and look at how everything started. Kirk Cousins, a quarterback who's been making headlines for quite some time, signed a 4-year, $180 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons last offseason. And let me tell you, expectations were sky high. Coming off a solid 2023 campaign, many fans and analysts believed that Cousins could be the piece that finally pushes Atlanta into serious playoff contention. And initially, it looked promising. The Falcons started the season with a bang, jumping out to a 6-3 record, leading the NFC South, and showing flashes of potential that had fans dreaming big. But as we all know, football is a game of inches, and momentum can shift in the blink of an eye. Unfortunately for the Falcons and Cousins, that momentum didn't sustain. Atlanta finished the season at 8-9, missing the playoffs for the 7th consecutive year. That's a tough pill to swallow for any franchise, especially for a team that had high hopes and a new quarterback leading the charge. Now, for Kirk Cousins, this was a bit of a mixed bag. Despite the struggles, he played through injuries, showing resilience and professionalism, but perhaps those injuries and the overall team performance affected his individual stats and perception. Still, it's important to note that Cousins, at 36 years old, remains a highly capable quarterback, with a Hall of Fame-worthy career if he keeps up the consistency. But here's where things start to get really interesting. In the NFL, when a team underperforms or shifts direction, players often find themselves in the middle of trade rumors, and Cousins is no exception. Just as the offseason heat was intensifying, the Falcons front office made a clear move that sent ripples through the league. They selected Michael Penix Jr. with the number 8 overall pick in last year's draft. Now, Penix, a talented quarterback from Washington, instantly became the future face of the franchise. This move signaled that Atlanta was looking toward the next generation, possibly preparing for a future without Cousins, or at least with him in a backup role. And that's exactly where the story gets more complex. Despite statements from general manager Terrey Fontenot and head coach Raheem Morris, suggesting they're comfortable keeping Cousins as a backup in 2025, the rumors have been swirling for months that the veteran quarterback wants out. According to reports from CBS Sports' Cody Benjamin, Cousins has been actively seeking a trade for quite some time now. And it's not just speculation. Sources close to the situation indicate that the 36-year-old is determined to find a new team, a fresh start perhaps, where he can have a more prominent role or at least a better shot at postseason success. Now, naturally, one of the most obvious potential destinations was his former team, the Minnesota Vikings. Cousins played 6 seasons in Minnesota, and for many Falcons fans, the idea of him returning to the Vikings would seem like a full-circle moment. But as it turns out, that reunion might be slipping away faster than anyone expected. The Vikings, after a somewhat turbulent 2024 season, made some bold moves in the draft and free agency, including acquiring a new backup quarterback, Sam Howell, during the draft. And here's the kicker, just recently, during a jersey swap, Howell was seen wearing the number 8 jersey, the same number Cousins wore for 6 seasons as Minnesota's starter. That's not just a coincidence, it feels like a symbolic gesture, almost like a message that the Vikings are moving on. And, honestly, that jersey swap might be the clearest sign yet that Cousins' days in Minnesota are over. Yes, technically, he still has a no-trade clause in his contract, which means he could have blocked a move back there. But with Howell now in the picture, the Vikings clearly see him as the future, and Cousins' return seems increasingly unlikely. Plus, the Vikings were even rumored to be in the mix for Aaron Rodgers, the legendary Packers quarterback, who's also been linked to a potential move to Minnesota. But as we all know, Rodgers remains a free agent, and with other teams like the Steelers showing interest, the landscape remains fluid. So, what about Cousins' immediate future? Well, for now, he remains on the Falcons roster, having participated in their voluntary offseason program that began in late April. The team's front office and coaching staff have not officially ruled out the idea of trading him, but everything points to a scenario where the Falcons might be leaning toward keeping him as a backup, at least for the start of the upcoming season. The drafting of Penix signals a shift toward youth and long-term planning, but it also leaves the door open for Cousins to be moved if the right deal comes along. What makes this situation even more intriguing is the larger context of the NFL offseason. Trades, draft picks, and roster moves are happening at a dizzying pace, and Cousins' name keeps coming up in discussions about veteran quarterbacks who might be on the move. It's a dynamic landscape, with teams trying to find that perfect veteran presence or a young signal caller to develop. And Cousins, with his experience, consistency, and leadership, remains a highly sought-after commodity. Now, let's take a moment to analyze what all of this means for the Atlanta Falcons. The team has been on an upward trajectory lately, especially with young stars like Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and the promising defense led by players like Grady Jarrett and A.J. Terrell. The addition of a seasoned quarterback like Cousins last offseason was seen as a move to bring stability and leadership to a relatively young squad. But with the recent draft and rumors swirling around a possible trade, it's clear that the Falcons are at a crossroads. Do they want to stick with Penix and develop him as their future? Or do they see Cousins as a valuable veteran piece that can help them compete right now before making a full transition? The 2024 season showcased that Cousins can still perform at a high level, but injuries and team struggles limited his impact. If traded, the Falcons could potentially recoup some draft capital or find a quarterback who better fits their long-term vision. Conversely, keeping Cousins as a backup could also make sense if they believe he can mentor Penix and help the team compete in a tough NFC South. Either way, the franchise's direction is clear. They're trying to build a competitive roster, but the quarterback situation remains a key storyline heading into 2025. Let's also not forget the broader NFL picture. The league is in a state of flux, with veteran quarterbacks like Rodgers, Tom Brady, retired but still a talking point, and others setting the stage for new chapter stories. Cousins' situation is emblematic of this transition, an experienced quarterback looking for a team that values his skills and leadership. The NFL's salary cap, draft strategies, and team needs all play a role in where he might land next. And if the Falcons do decide to trade him, it could open up opportunities for other teams to pounce, especially those in need of a proven veteran presence or a bridge QB to their young prospects. Now, looking ahead to the upcoming season, there's still a lot of uncertainty. Will Cousins stay in Atlanta and accept a backup role? Will he be traded to a team that desperately needs a veteran quarterback? Or could he even wait for a potential trade deadline move, waiting for the right opportunity? These questions linger, and as fans, we're all eager to see how it unfolds. What's also interesting is how this situation affects the team's locker room and coaching staff. The Falcons have been building a culture of resilience and youth, and having a veteran like Cousins around could be a boost for the younger players. But at the same time, the team's draft and recent roster moves suggest they're planning for the future, possibly without Cousins as a long-term solution. It's a delicate balance, respecting the veterans' contributions while also focusing on development and long-term success. And for Kirk Cousins himself, this offseason has probably been a whirlwind. After years of being a reliable starter in Minnesota, he now finds himself at a crossroads, trying to find the best fit for the next chapter of his career. The fact that he's been actively seeking a trade indicates that he's ready for a fresh start, but the options might be more limited than he hoped, especially with the Vikings seemingly moving on and the draft picks indicating a new direction. So, as we approach the 2025 season, everything is still up in the air. Will Cousins end up somewhere else, or will he stay with Atlanta in a backup role? Will the Falcons turn to Penix as their starter from day one, or will they explore other veteran options? The NFL is unpredictable, and that's what makes following these stories so exciting. One thing is certain, the Falcons are in a transitional phase, and the quarterback position remains the most talked about topic heading into the new season. Now, for all you Falcons fans out there, I want to emphasize that this story is far from over. The NFL offseason is notorious for its surprises, trades, and dramatic turns, and the Cousins saga is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. The team's strategy, the draft picks, and the player movements all point to a franchise trying to find its identity and build a team capable of competing at the highest level in the NFC. And remember, the Atlanta Falcons have a rich history of resilience and fighting spirit. From their Super Bowl run in the 1998 season to recent playoff appearances, this team has shown it can overcome adversity. The quarterback situation is just the latest chapter in that story, and it's one that will surely keep fans on the edge of their seats throughout the offseason and into the next season. In conclusion, the Cousins trade rumors and the symbolic jersey swap in Minnesota mark a turning point not only for him but for the Falcons and the NFL as a whole. Whether he ends up staying as a backup or moving to a new team, his career continues to be a fascinating saga of perseverance, talent, and strategic decisions. As fans, we should stay tuned, because the next few weeks could bring some major surprises, and the Atlanta Falcons are right in the middle of it all. The 2025 season promises to be one of the most intriguing in recent memory, and the quarterback landscape will surely be a key storyline to watch. So, buckle up, Falcons fans, because this offseason is just getting started, and there's a lot more coming your way. And now, Atlanta Falcons fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Atlanta Falcons. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Atlanta Falcons news.